Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Main Street Board of Directors, meeting November 8th, 2023 meeting, and welcome everyone. Meredith, roll call. Everybody seems to be here, almost everybody. Again, I'd like to congratulate our mayor and glad to see you sitting over there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was like, oh, I have to go to a meeting in the morning. It's kind of early since I was talking to the newspaper at 11 last night. I'm here. I might not be very awake, but I'm here.
Also, I'd like to inform you that Kevin Iant, because of work and personal life constraints, he feels like he hasn't been able to effectively participate on the board. And he has contacted me to vacate his seat. As board member, I thanked him for all his time and effort and the work he did with us. And we appreciate him. He wants to be a friend and he'll probably participate in committees if we can keep him connected. So I want to thank Kevin for his time and efforts. Also today, since between the last meeting and this meeting, and we were able to meet with the mayor, we were able to find 3 wonderful new additions to our DDA. First, we have Candace Carl Newsom, and Candace owns Disaster Craft, an eco-friendly home fragrance company located on Main Street. She is passionate about the history of Adrian, education, and environmental issues. She graduated from Adrian College and attended the University of Michigan for grad school. She's excited to be a part of the DDA and to revitalize our great city. So welcome. Another addition is Christina Henning. LNSW was born and raised right here in Adrian. She is an Adrian High School and Siena Heights University alumni. Christina has also served as a mental health therapist, social worker in the community. She is passionate about serving diverse communities and individuals and can't wait to play a role to continue growth and development of our downtown. Welcome.
And is a resident of downtown.
Let's check that off. And then finally, we have Jacob Cooper. A lot of you know Jacob, a lifelong resident of Adrian. I've had the pleasure of living downtown. He's had the pleasure of living downtown over 5 years. He has now found himself another place, but he was really a downtown resident. He really wants to be a part of the transformation strategies that we're implementing, and he's thrilled to be a part of the development that lies ahead. So let's welcome Jacob Cooper. Awesome. From there, you have an agenda in front of you. If there are any additions, I'm going to add a little bit. We're going to add something about the Christmas tree river walk when we get to committee reports. So that'll be something we'll address at that time. Any other additions to the agenda? If none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Support. There's a motion and support. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. We have an agenda. You have the minutes in your packet from our October 11th meeting. Is there any additions, corrections, deletions? We're going to have another record-breaking meeting. All right. If none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Moved. Second.
There's a motion and support. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. The minutes are in the record. All right, we'll move to our finance report. Jay.
The finance report was in your packet. All costs, everything seemed to be in line. Revenue seemed to be doing well. We're coming up on a couple of months that we won't be doing very much spending, so that'll be good. It'll give us a little bit in the bank as we head into the springtime where it'll start really taking off. And then really the revenue will really start to take place as the fundraising comes in and some sponsorship opportunities in the coming year as well. Any questions about anything you had in your packet? Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the finance report as presented.
Support.
There's been a motion and support. Don't be shy. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. All right, we got an exciting program coming up right here. It is the Smith Group presentation on our Winter Street Streetscape MDOT project. Jay.
So I believe we have Bob Doyle and Allison Bishop on Zoom with us, and they'll be presenting for the streetscape for us here.
Morning, Bob.
Hey, morning, Mr. Steele,
Allison.
Jay. We have a quick presentation. We can make it as long as you want, but it looked like you had a pretty packed agenda, so we will try to keep it moving forward. And I will share my screen. Can you all see that?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, excellent. Let me try to. Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll just go with it as it is. I'm sorry if you have to see the top of the screen, but oh, and now I'm getting software updates. Okay. All right. Sorry about the delay. We'll try to make up some time. So we've been working on this plan for actually going back on a couple of years now. We started out by looking at how to improve the riverfront area generally. And one of the recommendations that came out of that initial study was to improve Winter Street. And so we've been moving forward with some thoughts on that. So that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. We're going to look at a quick overview of the project, an assessment of the site, and then talk a little bit about the concept design. So if you have any questions along the way, please raise your hand. And as always, we'll be happy to discuss afterwards. So a quick overview of the project. The project site here is on the western edge of downtown. And based on the analysis we've done, we came up with some key goals that we're trying to achieve with this project. One is to improve connectivity to the region and more specifically to the Kiwanis Trail, extend the pedestrian-oriented character of downtown towards the riverfront. You've got a lovely downtown up on Main Street and other cross streets, but it doesn't quite get to the riverfront. So we'd like to extend it down there. And in doing so, act as a catalyst for additional private investment. So there are three major parts of our recommendation. So just to give you an overview up front, number one in the green line is to create a downtown bike loop that connects downtown to the Kiwanis Regional Trail up Maple Street on the north, across Winter Street and down Maumee. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, and of course, in the next few slides. Second area we've been looking at are general streetscape improvements along Winter Street from Main to Maple. And then a third element is a reconfiguration of Front Street and the intersection of Front and Main so as to encourage people to use the actual business route, which turns east on Front Street and not using Winter Street, which was for a long time the truck route around downtown. So the first thing we do when we start a project of this size and importance is to think about how it connects to what existing plans are in place within the community that support or would guide our thinking. And so the first thing we turn to is the City of Adrian 2021 Comprehensive Plan. And it talked specifically about Winter Street between Front Street and Main Street as being proposed to be downgraded from a minor arterial to a collector, again, in reflection of that longstanding change to the truck route. We also, the master plan also was very specific about its support for complete streets. And so when we talk about complete streets, we're talking about a street environment that recognizes all users of that street and balances out the design of that street so that it meets the needs of the community. So there's a set of criteria that we look at, and I won't bore you with going through there, but what we're thinking about is based on that context of creating complete streets. We also looked at the Reinvent Downtown Adrian strategic plan, which outlined a series of specific strategic goals for the downtown district and included streetscape improvements, placemaking measures, and connecting neighborhoods. We've also looked at the downtown parking study, which was completed in 2019, and what it tells us about downtown. So north is up in this particular sketch. Our project site is here amidst an area that is indicating, based on the parking study, that is a surplus of parking spaces. Not that anyone wants to lose spaces, but we want to look at, how this might impact the street design. So one of the key things that we're doing with this project is pursuing a grant through the Michigan Department of Transportation, which is known as a TAP grant, a TAP grant, which is an acronym for Transportation Alternatives Program. And so these grants set aside federal money that comes to MDOT and is used specifically to encourage use of bicycles, safety for pedestrians, and creating better street environments. And so in that context, we wanted to look at what are the bike facilities in the community, what's planned, and what's there now. And so what there now in downtown is the dedicated bike lane on Maumee that stops just short of Winter Street, and the Kiwanis Trail, which is a regionally significant asset. So if we look at downtown and what's planned and what exists, again, Kiwanis Trail running adjacent to downtown, the bike lane on Maumee, and then everything else is more or less still in the planning stages. So the various non-motorized plans that have been completed for the area include several key east-west connectors, including Maple and Maumee, and several key north-south routes here on Division, and then also Winter Street. So within that context, what we're proposing is to create a loop coming up Maple, down Winter Street, and then back across on Maumee to connect to that loop as a first stage in creating bike-friendly facilities in the downtown. And what our experience has been is that when you provide safe and protected environment for bicyclists, that and since many bicyclists are doing it both for exercise, but more importantly, recreation, we can draw people into downtown and also connect, because of the Kiwanis Trail's extensive reach, it connects into neighborhoods and allows people from the community of Adrian to bicycle down to downtown safely. So if we look at the sites themselves, on this map, north is facing to the right. So sorry about that. Switch in map orientation. Hopefully it won't be too disconcerting. The Kiwanis Trail is on the upper side of this map. Maple, Winter, and Maumee. So each street from when we look at bike friendliness, we look at the width of the right of way, the width of paving, the width of the sidewalks, and determine what the capacity of that street is to add bike facilities. And so we look at, in this case, Maumee in this stretch has an 80-foot right of way, but otherwise has a 66-foot right of way going north. And then Winter Street is 66 feet in this initial block from Maumee to Washburn, and then goes down to 60 feet. And then Maple Street is somewhere in between 60 to 66. It's unclear. So that tells us a few things. When we look at it from a streetscape perspective, we're also looking at those same issues in terms of capacity of the street, but we're also looking for specifically, do you have amenities like landscape and lighting and paving and site furnishings that can support businesses that are either there or that may come in the future. And generally speaking, you have very few trees within the right of way through this stretch, a pretty good variety of uses, and a number of curb cuts. We also looked at the intersection of Front and Main. Again, north is to our right on this image. And you see the courthouse in the center of the image. And you can see, if you look at this from a traffic engineer's perspective, you can see how the lanes and the diameter of those turning movements is specifically designed to encourage fairly rapid turning movements by larger vehicles. It's not, and our goal is not to prohibit vehicles who are operated by people who are paying the gas tax and have the right to use the public right of way. Rather, we would encourage that use to be at a rate of speed that is safer for pedestrians and other users of the street. So we looked at some ideas that we're going to show you in a minute. Also part of this analysis, we're looking at land use, where existing parking is on the street, and where building mass and critical commercial mass is that's driving pedestrian activity. So once we have established kind of where the site is, then we're looking at what are these design tools that we can use, and what are our goals if we're looking at this through the eyes of creating a complete street. So we want accessibility for all and comfort. We want a people-centered design that promotes health and wellness and use and safety. We want a sustainable landscape that helps manage stormwater and create shade to reduce temperatures in downtown. We want to create opportunities for different forms of mobility. And lastly, we want to make sure that what gets designed is going to last. So we look at who we're designing for. Residents, students, the business community, employers, tourists, and visitors, all of which are part of the equation in downtown Adrian. We're looking at how do we design for people with different ages and different abilities, and how do we design for people who have different purposes for being on the street. So in order to create complete streets, we're looking at it from building face to building face. How are we using the street? Whether it's creating opportunities for biking, transit, traffic, movement, parking, and also having sidewalks that are wide enough to support outdoor business. We have found certain standards apply when in looking at sidewalk width and what makes a viable outdoor dining area, for instance, or the ability for a retailer to include retail sales on the sidewalk. So we're looking at all of these kinds of things. I'm just going to keep going. And we're looking at different types of bike routes. So all the way from, it's just a designated bike route, there's no special facility, to an assumed sharing of lanes, basic bike lanes, buffered bike lanes, so we have some striping between the bike and the traffic, some space, to separated bikeways that have either curbed medians or landscape separating people on bikes from the actual traffic movement. And what we have seen, of course, is that the further you get towards a separated bikeway, the more likely it is you're going to encourage people to bike. A certain percentage of bikers are going to be perfectly comfortable on a bike lane that is unprotected. But that might only be 15% of the bicyclists in the world, whereas this is going to attract almost anyone who's willing to be on a bike, will feel comfortable and safe in this kind of environment. We also look at stormwater management techniques, but for brevity, we'll keep moving. So our basic concept then, to return to this image, is a bikeway of some kind, following the green line, doing streetscape improvements along the blue line, and then making some improvements to the front and Main Street area. So what we're recommending, based on our experience and looking at the site in Adrian, is a separated bikeway that is two-way and separated by a curbed island. And I'll show you an image of some of these built. This also allows us, by making the travel lanes of the road a more typical width for urban streets, that act in itself slows traffic down, and it allows us to widen the sidewalks. Currently, the sidewalks on Winter Street are somewhere in the 11 to 12 foot range. And what we have found is if you can get them up to 13 and a half, 14, then you're getting the ability for a restaurateur, for instance, to put out 4 top tables. So on Maumee, there's enough right of way in this block coming up to Winter that we could maintain the turn lane, 2 traffic lanes, and a separated bikeway. As we move to the west, we would likely drop the turn lane just for this last stretch. On Winter Street, we have room to have 2 lanes of traffic and a separated bikeway, likewise with Maple Street. Now, that would mean that on Winter Street, we're going to lose about 15 parking spaces. And we've looked at a couple alternatives to how to replace those, including reconfiguring this parking lot down here by the U-shaped park, and also picking up some spaces on Front Street, which I'll show you in a minute. So here's some images of some bikeways we have done over the last several years. These all happen to be from Ann Arbor. We're doing them all over the Midwest, but these are probably the most local example, unless you're frequent travelers to Detroit. This is a separated bikeway that has a concrete curbed separation. In this area, in another part of downtown, we've got enough more room where we can put some low maintenance ornamental grasses in to create more of a landscape buffer, if you will. And you can see this is going to appeal to a wider range of bicyclists, particularly if you're not creating a dead end, which is why we like this idea of a loop. Okay, now switching gears, in terms of streetscape, you guys have a beautiful downtown streetscape. There's no real need to reinvent the wheel. And so what our focus will be on is more about just taking the design elements that are on Main Street and Maumee and other places in downtown and moving those down to the Winter Street area. So just some examples of doing that we've been involved in. And this one, in fact, includes both a bikeway and streetscape improvements. Then if we look at Front Street and Main again, we talked a little bit about this radius allowing NASCAR drivers to navigate that corner very adeptly. So we're really interested in decreasing that radius, slowing traffic down, and then also reducing some of the capacity of that road, because that road is built for significantly more vehicles than it currently handles. So in this sketch, we've got 3 lanes of traffic, westbound, eastbound, and then a turn lane, and we still have room to put in parking and reduce this radius. So this picks up about 7 spaces. If we got rid of the turn lane, we could double that and pick up some on the south side of the street. Or as I think the U-shaped parked, we've done several studies for reconfiguring that area, and we can pick up about 20 spaces there if we needed to. So next steps. Currently, we're here in November 2023. We talked to City Council on Monday evening. We're talking to you. And then next week, we're talking to the Kiwanis Regional Trail Authority to present the ideas. In December, we're going to be coming back to City Council to approve a TAP grant fund application. Then in February, we'll be making the application. If we are successful, that would we'd be notified in July of that funding. In the meantime, and then after that, we can get the engineering and design completed and then set it out for construction in spring of 2025. So obviously, when we're going through the process of design, there will be additional opportunities to dive in and help us, work out the details of how it all fits together. This is at this point at a conceptual level, and we would want to come back to you as DDA board or your committees to do additional engagement and get your input. So we have offered an opportunity online for people to take a survey, and the QR code is here, and I believe it's linked through the City of Adrian website as well. So that survey is going out to anyone in the community that is interested in thinking about these ideas and offering input. So I'm certainly not as concise as I had hoped, but I'm ready to answer any questions.
Questions for Bob?
No questions, but love the idea of the two-way bike lane on Winter Street because I'm an avid bike rider and I said I would never do Winter Street again because I almost got taken out there this summer. So I'm actually scared to bike on that and I bike the trail all the time. So I didn't want to come to downtown because of Winter Street because I literally almost got taken out there. So I love that idea.
Jerry?
If someone's asking a question, I'm not hearing anything.
Check the mic, see if it's turned on.
I'm curious about the impact there along Front to Broad Street to the traffic circle, because I feel that we currently have some impediments to residents on that northeast side coming into the downtown, and that this sounds like we could have some pretty serious increased traffic along that route, especially truck traffic. And it's just a concern of mine. I'm curious about addressing that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is that we've been meeting with MDOT representatives about these ideas, and they are very cautious, of course, as an institution, which can rankle you at times, but it's also a very good thing because they make change they don't make change without consideration of all the impacts. So that area in particular, they want to look at more carefully because they want to understand what kind of unintended consequences may occur, just like you have expressed. So I would say at this point, this is a concept, but one that will need a lot of additional scrutiny and study. And as I had noted earlier, I don't think anyone's intent is to prohibit people from making that turn or trucks using that series of streets because they're taxpayers and they need to get places just like all of us. However, I think there is room to slow their speed down and make the courthouse feel a little easier to get to if you're downtown than crossing a very wide front street with vehicles traveling at, fairly aggressive speeds.
So I'm sure there'll be traffic studies that MDOT will ask us to do.
Yeah, they have already put in that request. Yes.
I would think so.
Yeah.
That answer your question, Jerry?
Yeah, just will remain a concern, I guess, until those studies are done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm noting that. It's a great question.
Other questions for Bob?
Are bike racks part of this study or project?
Yes. Yep, we have, we would assume bike racks, we tend to locate them where there's a demand. And so we'll want to, that's something we'll want to work with you guys on in terms of where do you think these ought to be placed. And I think one of the things that we're really kind of excited about is this connects to the Kiwanis Trail right at that plaza down on Maumee. So I think there's a real opportunity to use that as a place, get a little more activity in that place. And there might be a logical place for bike racks and bike maintenance, toolkits, that kind of thing.
Sorry, I have one more question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of the loop, and I think it makes sense. And slowing traffic on winter, I think, is a definite need in this community. is there any concern that what we're in fact doing is routing bikers from one end of the trail to the other without actually putting them through our central business district, which is at the corners of Main and Maumee?
That is a good concern, and that's why we look at this as like being a first phase. You have, if you're coming to if we can get people to the corner of Maumee in winter, of course, we have bike lanes that go up Maumee. But I also think there's an opportunity to look at Washburn as a way of getting people in, connected from the bikeway into downtown. So I think that is definitely part of the longer term goal.
Is there a way to see some of those ideas for the longer term?
Yeah, some of the designs we've been looking at, not only takes a look at that, but we want to see a path that goes right toward the between Citizens Gas on Main Street and where the park is there, the little bridge. And it would be a straight shot. So we're trying to find out, how would you cross the street on Winter and then drive you right into the downtown straight that way?
Yeah.
So that was part of our riverfront early designs, but this is going to go through the Kiwanis Regional Trail Authority. We're going to be asking the same kind of questions and the like.
I mean, it just seems like the DDA is the concern of the businesses in the downtown.
Right.
And
Yeah,
the Kiwanis
absolutely.
Trail is probably more concerned about the Kiwanis Trail. So I
Right.
just want to be sure that this body is thinking about those of us who have businesses down here, that that's not a 2030 plan. We're a
Right.
long way from that. So I just like to hear more about that, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think at a minimum, what we ought to be doing is documenting that in these plans to say that is an important part of it. And I think there's probably, based on your input, I want to go back and kind of look and see, okay, what would it take to just add that little, at least to get people up to Main Street.
Jerry, there's also, and I didn't see it in this presentation, Bob, but I saw it Monday night. There's it shows future plans for bike routes throughout the downtown proper. So there's a plan for a bike path on Broad Street up through Division. So really connecting the whole part of the city.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking
Yep.
for, is to have a little
Yeah.
insight on what's coming.
Yep.
Because
So
it feels like we're kind of the last to the table here.
yeah, that's, and I saw it Monday and I didn't see it here, but there is a slide and I'll make sure to get that to you so you can take a look at it. But it
Yeah,
shows additional bike routes that are planned there, right there.
Yeah, so what it's showing is, as you said, it's showing the proposed future Broad Division connection. It's showing an extension along Maple Street to get out to the college, or get out to the east side of town and then up to the college if you want. And then this is the one I'm kind of equally curious about, is coming up through here to at least get us up to Main Street for now. What we have seen is that when you can create things as a series of loops that people can navigate around a downtown, that really seems to help increase the use. And so if you're thinking about, okay, what if we did this as part of that loop, or as the second stage of it. And there's actually, even though this is the official state route, this stretch right here, there's a lot of right of way there. So our recommendation on that is to put the bikeway in as what MDOT would call a side path, which is basically an extra wide sidewalk. So you're not actually on the road. And then you transition to something that's on the road to get up north to here to Island Park.
So does that answer, Jerry? This is really part one of a much larger,
Yeah,
non-motorized
just want the
transportation.
DDA to be part of that conversation. That's all.
Yep.
Perfect.
Any other questions for Bob?
As far as winter time goes, if you do the curbed bike lane that's separate, would you increase your expenses as far as snow removal for the city goes? Because now with the bike lanes, they're able to clear it when they clear the roads, and if you have it separated, you're gonna need a separate machine, a separate piece of equipment to clear that little bit of street just for the bike lanes there. As
Good
far as
question.
the-
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is that yes, it does increase street maintenance because you're having to use, a pickup mounted plow to do the bike lane versus the larger plows that have a 12-foot wide blade. So different communities have managed that differently. Some communities, that have a more mature system, let's say, actually purchase a new equipment that's specially made for that kind of width. Other communities, use a pickup truck mounted plow like you would on the Kiwanis Trail, for instance.
Another question in terms of cost. I know it's obviously in the concept phase, but any information on the amount of grant funding potentially available from MDOT or what the potential cost share would be between local entities and MDOT?
Well, MDOT under this TAP grant typically pays between 60 and 70% of all the project costs. And so there is a very strong match. We did review the concept with MDOT just to take their temperature, both with the Jackson Transportation Service Center and with the granting people in Lansing. And they felt very strongly this is a great candidate for one of these grants. Dusty, maybe you can talk a little bit more about the legislative budget line item, which provides some opportunity for the local community to put its match together. But I don't think that funding is going to be a big issue.
In concept, this is really a larger part of the riverfront project. So the earmark that was set aside is those fundings are available. So that's going to be able to fill that match. The TAP grant is a sort of an uncapped program. So it's not like they say $1 million or you get $2 million. When they like a project, they'll go at it.
Yeah.
So they can do multi-million-dollar projects when they like it under the TAP. So, yeah. Other questions for Bob? Bob, Allison, thank you so much for your time and your efforts. We appreciate it, and we hope to be a big part of the ongoing development of this project.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, and feel free to send us any questions or follow-up that you might have.
Great,
So
thank
Jay,
you.
Jay, if you'll provide the DDA with their contact information so that they wanted to email a question or concern, you guys will have that.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move to our Main Street Director's Report. Jay.
Thank you, Dusty. I've got quite a few things to talk about. The first two, the holiday market, small business Saturday, holiday open house, are kind of all working in unison together. First, the holiday market, working with the owner of the property at 142 North Main Street, used to be Arnold's Tailor Shop. And he's going to let us rent that for a minimal cost to provide a indoor holiday market. We've got applications out and help to make decisions on the vendors that'll be in there, start on Friday or Saturday to let them know. It'll start November 24th, go through December 23rd. It'll be on Fridays from 5 to 8 and Saturdays 9 to 3. The nature of the building allows them to really set up their booth and keep it there. So there's some ability for them. The cost is $150 for those 5 weekends. That'll help cover our cost of renting the facility and then some marketing as well. Along with that, Small Business Saturday is November 25th. We've got stuff out to the local businesses already to participate, and we've got probably 6 or 8 already that are going to be participating. We will have a remote from WLAN from 9 till 12 on Small Business Saturday, giving away some prizes to people coming down. And our headquarters will actually be in that market space, so people can come in, grab maps, get information about businesses that are open times and things like that in that headquarters. The following weekend, which is our first Friday, it'll be November 30th. December 1st is First Friday, and December 2nd, that's Saturday. One of the local business owners is working to help us do a holiday open house for the downtown businesses. And so Michelle from Tink and the Frog is kind of spearheading that, and she's capturing everybody. So we'll also be supporting that, doing some promotion for them as well. In that space, this year, to help support the Comstock Christmas Riverwalk, we are also selling 10-year anniversary commemorative ornaments for the Riverwalk. They'll be $10. All the proceeds will go back to the Comstock Fund to help support the Riverwalk in years to come. So I'll pass that around for you guys to take a look at it. And those will go on sale that Friday, the 24th, and while supplies last. We do have a limited supply. It is a special edition. It's 10-year anniversary one. If you want one, you need to let us know. Any questions about those? In the packet, there was some of the promotional material that kind of show what's happening. We are a small business champion through American Express this year, so they give us a lot of promotional items and swag to hand out as well. Next thing, Storyville. We're probably 60% completed on Storyville. Contacting business owners sometimes is like herding cats, as you all know. We're all really busy, so got to follow up with a few of them. But the feedback I've got from those that have done their interviews has been great, and I'm excited to see what Phil comes up with. The next thing I want to talk about is the Cobalt 360 report that I attached to the email. It is a beast of a report. This is only half of it, right? This is just one half. And what it gives us is demographics for downtown residents that come in, as well as visitors. There's things, and what it did was it put a geofence around downtown. So Church Street to Front Street, Broad to Winter, and then it captured Comstock Park as kind of like the toe of the boot there. And what it does is it tracked every visitor that came into our area over a 6-month period. We know their habits, where they came from before they came downtown, where they went after they left downtown, their favorite restaurants. Yeah, it is a little big brother. It is a little big brother. It doesn't know who you are as a person. It just knows your habits. So it also we know what your favorite store is, what your favorite chain is, and it also lets us know what's missing in our downtown. So there's a void analysis it did. A lot of great information for anybody that wants to come into our downtown from a visitor's perspective. I mean, it also tells us when people want to come to, or when they do come to our downtown. So if our shops aren't open at certain times, it's kind of eye-opening to see that the majority of our people come after 5 o'clock in on Saturdays, and a lot of our businesses are open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. So there's some great opportunities for expanded sales, and to really drive the bottom line of those businesses. So as I dig in more to that, I'll be sharing things. This will be going on the website as we build out the page for this one as well. Halloween recap. There were a lot of kids downtown.
Oh, yes.
I ballpark estimated about 4,000 people were downtown. We had over 50 stops for candy. Cost was just under $5,000 from early figures, and we raised $3,200 in sponsorships. I want to thank Michelle for all her help with the city as well. It was a great effort. It was nice to see, all the departments down here handing out candy. With fire, police, DPW. We had 200 dozen donut holes. 40 gallons of cider, and that was gone in an hour and a half. We had a little bit of candy left. So between 50 and 60 pieces, 50 and 60,000 pieces of candy that we supported on top of all the businesses having their candy. And so we're going to repurpose that candy for the Christmas parade. And I think that'll be a great opportunity for that. Last, I'm going to touch on it says Match on Main, but there's actually some grant and technical service information. So Match on Main is coming back. This year it is it's being managed by Michigan Main Street. So that gives us a little bit of I would say unwritten advantage in that. Lee Young from Michigan Main Street's the program manager for the Match on Main. That grant window will open January 15th. So I will be putting some things out shortly, allowing businesses to start working on their projects. I haven't heard the details, but my assumption is as it's been in the past, $25,000 grant with $10,000 match. It is a reimbursement grant, so there's no money up front. You'd have to fund that, and then you get the reimbursement for it. For the DDA, the vibrancy grant, which is for our mural program, the next round of that opens January 2nd through January 24th. So if there is a vibrancy opportunity that you feel we have in the community, let us know. We'll get it to one of the committees to review and come up with a plan to execute that. That's a $25,000 grant too. And that one is just for Main Street communities. And then lastly, I will be sending it in my update this week. Technical services, it's our time for that application again. Remember last year we did the branding. There's a whole list of opportunities for us, and I'll pass that around. We'll need to make a decision at our next meeting in December, because shortly after that, we have to submit the application for the technical service. I think that's all I have. Oh, last thing, Dara Cups. We have added the new logo to the Dara Cups. It's not full color because we are only allowed 4 colors, and it was tough to find a good version of the colors that worked well. So we stuck with blues to do that, and I'll pass that along so you guys can take a look as well. If you want to send the ornament back this way, we'll pass it.
I was a little concerned you had a Dara cup sitting here, so you've alleviated my concern.
I stopped at the 109 before I got here. Anybody have any questions?
Questions for Jay? Questions? Oh, you got one coming.
No, I just have a comment. So my business partners had some really good feedback about Halloween. They said that it was awesome this year, that
Good.
they never ran out of candy, that some of the kids even said they had so much fun because there was more space to move around. There were more places to go. And so it was really, really well executed
Good.
this year. And also our holiday marketing looks really good in Christmas colors. I like it.
Well, thank you, Jay. If there's no questions. Lisa and I gave away 1,000 glow sticks, and we did it in an hour and a half, and 2,000 pieces of candy. So you just can imagine. It was unbelievable, just unbelievable. And the weather was perfect. All right, we'll go to Greg, City of Adrian report.
Good morning. Let me first say congratulations to our mayor on her re-election to a 3rd term. We will be joined as of Monday, which is when everybody officially takes office, by a couple of new commissioners, Commissioner Bob Benke and Commissioner Matt Schwartz. And Commissioner Mary Roberts also won re-election to a new term. So new commission coming at our next meeting, which is November 20th, I believe. Things that may be of interest to you all. The Bob Doyle mentioned the idea of removing U Park and creating some additional off-street parking there. We are exploring other opportunities around downtown to create additional off-street parking as we add residential units, which are great for downtown. That creates a need for off-street parking as well. The City Commission approved acquisition of a parcel along Church Street on Monday night, which we're going to use to expand the Church Street parking lot. It has actually I don't have a graphic of it, I'm sorry, but it has a double impact because we own, the city that is owns property on the other side of it. So it both allows us to use that parcel for additional off-street parking and access the rest of our property for additional off-street parking in the Church Street parking lot. But looking at other opportunities as well where they arise. And so hopefully more to come on that. City Commission also will be acting, I expect, on the acquisition of 120 South Main on November 20th. That has been offered to us for sale. That allows us to control the module of buildings that we've been, the space rather that we've envisioned for the Town Square project adjacent to Maid Lane, which I think you've seen in the past, and Smith Group is also working on as part of our projects that we're doing with the enhancement grant funds. So that will be, that's sort of on its own timeline. Once we acquire that property, we won't be necessarily waiting on other grant opportunities to be able to proceed with that and opening up that space of the work along Maid Lane. Although, as Dusty alluded to, our plans with the enhancement grant funds are to leverage other grant opportunities wherever they're available, using those funds as local match. None of these projects are hitting the city's general fund in any way, or your funds in any way. They're using those enhancement grant funds and leveraging other grant opportunities with them. I think those are the things I wanted to share this morning, but I'm happy to answer questions you have on anything else as well.
Questions for Greg? Good stuff. Thank you, Greg. We'll now move to some board actions, and Jay, will you explain Winter Streetscape project?
Yeah. So it's recommendation Executive Director that the Downtown Adrian Main Street DDA Board support the Winter Streetscape project. And basically what it is for us to have a letter of support from the board chair supporting the project moving forward with the TAP grant to really get that broad-based community support.
So can I get a motion? There's been a motion. Is there support?
Support.
There's support. Is there any further discussion? So Tara. Tara Jacob. Questions? Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Thank you. Next, social media policy.
It is the recommendation of the Executive Director of the Downtown Adrian Main Street DDA Board that the board approve the social media policy. So you'll see in the packet, the social media policy is really for those that use the downtown social media handles, purposes for guidelines, individuals who participate in social media, and on behalf of the Downtown Adrian Main Street DDA. This policy did come to us from the promotion committee, and they fully support that.
So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the social media policy as presented in your packet.
So moved.
There's been a motion. Is there support? Support. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. All right, we'll move on to committee reports. Promotion Committee, Meredith.
Social media, or the promotions committee, recent work has been on the social media policy, of course. Work on the holiday market and some social media marketing or opportunities around that. And focusing on the second wave of the Storyville project.
So those are our key points for this month.
Excellent. Questions for Meredith? Great work, promotion committee. Let's move on to First Fridays, Michelle.
November was Give Thanks. And it was our first month where we didn't have car show and bands and street closures and all of that. Usually the winter months are a little bit quieter with the exception of December. December, we have our holiday light parade, which we're taking parade registrations for. We have a new parade route as well. You can see that on your screen there. So for a number of reasons, mostly because the parade becomes so long and it tends to double up on itself, we've changed the route. This makes it a lot safer and easier to manage with our police and fire personnel and our DPW workers. So that's going to be the route. The parade lineup will be at 6:30 p.m. We have a new lineup spot that is going to be at the judicial building, the courthouse there. They've been nice enough to lend us their parking lot. It's a lot bigger, so it'll be a lot easier to line up and leave that parking lot. And then the parade will step off at 7 p.m., travel that route and end at Comstock Park around approximately 7:30 p.m. The tree lighting will take place at 7:30 or whenever Jim is through with his speech, so shortly after. As far as First Fridays, it is a First Friday and we do promote, the theme is Winter Wonderland and we promote coming downtown and shopping and all of that. But it's kind of an event that promotes itself. It's obviously a really heavily attended event every year, so.
Thank you, Michelle. With that, I would like to hand it over to Dave and talk about hot chocolate.
Not much here. Obviously, I've conned 2 of my employees to help, and thanks to the fire department, they've given us the use of their kitchen again, and we'll be making gallons and gallons of hot chocolate. If anybody does want to help, I would encourage some volunteerism. I just spoke with Michael prior to the meeting. Obviously, Michael has been a good part of the support with volunteers for serving the hot chocolate. So we'll work in shifts again, and you and I will be in contact and on some times and things of that nature for setup, and also some containers.
Sounds good.
And so, but we'll be ready to serve probably at 6 until we run out.
Dave, do you need more volunteers?
Always.
So Chief Emmerich had mentioned to me that he has a class and they might be looking for some volunteer opportunities or as part of the class. So maybe you or Jay reach out to him about that. I'm not sure exactly what dates they're available, but I believe they're available until like the second week of December.
All right. Thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, Town and Gown Committee.
Town and Gown Committee, Michael, did you want to take the one? So we have reports from both colleges, Adrian Public Schools. We're really looking to focus the Town and Gown Committee into a couple different projects, one of them being a networking event, the other one being a really strong focus around internship project, making that one a little bit broader. This year it was really focused on the city, but our interns come from all over the county, so really focusing it countywide going forward. That's about it. We talked a little bit about student welcome back event and looking at some opportunities to improve that in the coming years.
Questions on Town and Gown? Thank you.
Can you hear me? We're gonna do them behind City Hall, but because of the work being done on City Hall, do we know when that's gonna be done? Because those trailers are back there?
I think it's gonna be done this week. I can I'll check with Matt to make sure, but I think it's gonna be done this week.
Okay, because it would be really ideal to do the pots on the 12th and 13th, but if they can't be delivered to the back of City Hall because of those trucks, it'll have to be the next week. So,
I'll find out today.
okay, thank you. But we could use help and I'll send out the date once we know.
12th and 13th, that's Saturday, Sunday? No.
No,
Sunday,
Monday.
Sunday,
So it'd
Monday.
be Sunday as a start, and a lot of people can't be there during the day on Mondays, but it just is a day that ends up working. So hopefully we have a lot of pots to fill with greenery. So
16.
no, I think it's gonna be about 35. Yeah, I don't think we own 60.
I didn't know if we got to that number or not.
I will let you know that the fall decorations that are there are being picked up by Animal Rescue. So they'll be using the straw and the pumpkins to take care of the animals. So we're able to find somebody to do that, and they should be picking them up today. So there. Mural Steering Committee, we were able to meet on Monday with the Mural Steering Committee. Josh, do you want to talk about it, or would you like me to?
Sure.
You don't have to. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Oh, that's all right. It's seemed very exciting. We have a great group, mix of artists and teachers. Seemed like we're going to be moving forward on the first project is going to be the Gene Christopher lot. That wall there is going to be, so we're going to be looking at what type of medium we're going to use and get an idea for cost. And the idea, I think, is putting together a proposal to artists, gonna get help from ACA on that. And the guidelines are gonna be more like the welcome to Adrian, like the typical standard welcome to whatever town with the different landscapes inside of the letters. And so it's gonna be billboard size. It's pretty exciting.
Be good
That's
stuff.
all.
It won't be painting on the building, it'll be some sort of meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
we talked a lot about different painting and the brick, different types of brick, and I think the rest of the board brings a lot of knowledge and expertise into that, so I'm gonna be able to preserve as much as possible.
Yeah, and just to let you know, that committee is Josh, Jeff Rising, Val from the ACA. Oh man, I can't remember his name. From Adrian College, director from Adrian College, director from Siena Heights. Travis, yep, Travis, Mad from Siena Heights, Sarah Yutzi from Adrian High School, or from Adrian School, Adrian Public Schools. So, and Doug and Commissioner Miller from the city of Adrian. So, quite a diverse group, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and we'll really, have some diverse and very passionate art opinions in that, and that's great because I can't draw stick figures, so.
Any questions on that? Sounds like a great group. We just talked about winter decor. Anything to add to that?
I don't.
Okay. You? No, all right. All right, Tim, what you got for us?
A couple of things. I don't know how many of you were able to attend last week. We had our third economic club luncheon at the Christian Center. John Bacon was our speaker, a motivational leadership speaker and author, talking about his book, Let Them Lead. I think we had 75 plus people there. It was very, very cool. And yesterday, our very own Randy Agella gave a grant writing class in our office for those who attended. My guess is we'll be doing that again. It was pretty well attended. Going forward, working with a couple of downtown companies, retails, on some expansion work. Happy to report, if Greg hasn't already, RJ Park House seems to have all the ducks in a row. So I think that project will be, if it's not already started, rocking and rolling. That'll be, how many apartment units are they putting in now? Do you remember? Is it 20? Is it more?
19.
Okay, that's good. Much needed, for downtown. countywide, pipeline is incredibly robust. We got the second visit from 45 new job. We've got another attraction project that we've had several requests for additional information, and I expect a site visit from them in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Existing manufacturers in the county, Monday, there'll be a public announcement from one of our manufacturers on an expansion that was, well, not large, not huge, but it's nice to expand. And it's a new product line for them too. Existing manufacturers, got 3 right now that have projects that are in process. Probably about $100 million if you add them all up across the county, if we can pull those off. What else I got here next week? I think that's it. I mean, like I say, the pipeline is rather robust. Everything going on right now is, like you say, it's busy.
Good.
Any questions?
Questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Are there any other DDA matters to come before this board today? Hearing none, we'll move to public comment.
Good morning, all. My name's Aaron Cheshire, and I work in downtown, live in the city, and am the secretary of Lead Adrian, which is why I'm here today. Lead Adrian is holding a social event at Chalmers from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday, the 13th. That's next Monday. It's kind of like a meet and greet to learn more about what we do and what we've already done. LEAD stands for Latino Leaders for the Enhancement of Advocacy and Development. For our city, it's a charter throughout a chapter that has chapters throughout all of Michigan. So I emailed a copy of the PDF to Dusty. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to come stop by and learn more about what we do.
I'll pass it along.
What was the time again?
6 to 8.
Thank you.
On the 13th. Yep. Excellent. Other public comment? Hearing none, I again want to really welcome our new members. When we interviewed them, they got us excited. I can tell you right now, the mayor, we really appreciate you joining in. As you saw, this is really your first meeting. You sort of get a feel for what's going on. And we'd love to gravitate you toward whatever committee you feel comfortable with, whether it be design, organization, economic vitality, or promotion. If you need to learn more about that, Jay and I will be glad to sit down with you and talk about where you would love to put your passion and energy. So I welcome you again and thank you. Board member comments.
I just want to put this on your radar now that when I just visited Moriyama, Japan a few weeks ago, they are very excited about coming here next year because they will be coming here. And the mayor even said he's a brand new mayor there. And Mayor Morinaka said he is coming to Adrian. He's very excited about that. But just to start thinking about, like what we can show them in Adrian, not, downtown, but I'm going to look outside of just downtown, but like, where they can possibly eat or, businesses they can visit and just really welcoming them and showing them how awesome our city is. They did that when we were there in Moriyama and really just gave us a great look at many different businesses, many different entities that were there. So just something to think about. And another thing to put on your radar, I know it is not that far out though. Our 200th is just a little over a year away. So we need to start, I'm sure that our city administrator, Jay, myself, we will start talking about possibly putting a committee together because that's something that we need to look at. But it'd be really nice to have some downtown businesses or downtown input on that and what that looks like. And, I know Tecumseh's is this coming year. And they're doing it in July, like they're doing like a week long. I haven't really seen all the logistics of it, but I do know that much. But maybe, taking a look at even at what they're doing and as we look to ours the very next year. But these are things to start putting on in your mind and start thinking about because that is going to come upon us much sooner than we realize. Thank you.
Other board comments?
Just had a, excuse me, just had a comment on the Cobalt 360 report. I was curious if there's going to be any kind of informational meeting maybe for downtown business owners on that report. I think it's relevant to show them, like you mentioned, when people come downtown, when should their businesses be open, those kind of things. I think it might be a good idea to just have a meeting with all those business owners.
Yeah, I think right after the first year would be a good time to do that. We'll get through the holidays and really share that information with them, drill down on it. Give me some time to analyze it a little further as well.
Yeah, anybody help analyze it. It's a lot. And even when I look at it, I'm like, gosh, how are we going to break this down into bite-sized pieces? So that work needs to be done as well.
I will tell you some interesting information. You all got the visitor report, the event part of it, to see the counts to our events, and that was very reassuring. But I've got data as far as visitor counts, not demographic, but counts all the way back to 2017. So we'll be able to look at some trends of how people come to the events, when they come, in different things, to see how we've done historically as well. So I think that's very beneficial, and it'll help us a lot when it comes to sponsorship opportunities and really growing those things.
Any other board comments? Mm-hmm.
Because of their presentation and their request for letter or support or something on the same meeting, it's just, I feel very conflicted because I don't know what we're actually approving. So if in the future it's possible, I know it's probably not always possible, but we're up to get the presentation ahead of time, because, it's just hard to understand what the streets are, when it's just difficult. So those two things can be separated, that and I think it would help this board feel more engaged and involved in some of that.
I truly appreciate it, and we will. We absolutely will. One last thing. Cole is graduating and he's leaving us. Oh, that's it. But let's give him a hand. He did some great work. He also introduced me to a wonderful student yesterday. And we sat down and talked, and I hope I didn't intimidate her too much because of all the things that we threw at her. But she's right now watching and seeing if she would be a part of that. And Mayor will sit down with her if she's interested. So thank you. Great leaders find people to replace them. So that was a great thing, Cole. And thank you for all the input. Upcoming meetings: Small Business Saturday, holiday open house, holiday tree lighting first Friday. And then, of course, the downtown Main Street DDA meeting is December 13th, and more the merrier is off again. And have they picked all their restaurants? Has Mary picked all the restaurants? She has. You have? Okay, good, good. All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.